The gleaming spires of Helios 7 space station pierced the star-studded void like crystalline needles, their iridescent surfaces reflecting the light of 3 nearby suns. Inside one of the station's countless educational pods, Maya Chen fought to keep her attention on the quantum mechanics lecture while ignoring the whispered comments from her alien classmates. Another primitive trying to understand advanced physics, came a chittering sound from behind her. Humans barely mastered faster-than-light travel a century ago. Maya's fingers tightened around her holographic stylus, but she kept her face carefully neutral. At 16, she was the only human in the Advanced Sciences division, earning her place through merit rather than the diplomatic connections that had brought most of her classmates here. The daughter of terraforming engineers, Maya had grown up understanding that knowledge was the greatest equalizer in the galaxy. Professor Xerl, their Arcturian instructor, continued projecting complex equations into the air with their bioluminescent appendages. The fundamental principle of quantum entanglement across species-specific neural networks requires. The professor paused, compound eyes focusing on Maya's raised hand. Yes, student Chen. Professor, your equation assumes standard Arcturian synaptic density. Wouldn't the variance in cross-species neural architecture affect the quantum coherence time? Maya projected her own calculations into the shared space, highlighting the discrepancy. A ripple of surprise moved through the classroom. Professor Xerl's color shifted to deep purple, a sign of interest among their species. Fascinating observation. Student Chen. Perhaps you'd like to demonstrate the adjusted calculations. As Maya stood to explain, a station-wide alert interrupted the class. Red warning lights pulsed along the corridors, and the artificial gravity fluctuated momentarily. Emergency protocols engaged in Lower Sector 7. All residents remain in current locations. Medical assistance required. While her classmates buzzed with excitement over the interruption, Maya felt a familiar pull in her chest. Lower Sector 7, the refugee quarter, where the station's least privileged inhabitants struggled to survive. The same sector where her parents had spent countless hours providing medical care to those who couldn't afford the station's premium health services. Class dismissed. Professor Xerl announced. Return to your habitation units until the alert is cleared. Maya waited until her classmates filed out, their various appendages and locomotion methods creating a strange symphony of movement. Instead of heading to her unit, she slipped into a maintenance tunnel, one of many shortcuts she discovered during her years of exploring the station's less prestigious areas. The temperature dropped noticeably as she descended through the station's levels. The gleaming surfaces of the upper sectors gave way to utilitarian metal corridors, marked with decades of wear. Emergency lights cast everything in a crimson glow, and the air carried the mixed scents of dozens of species living in close quarters. Maya's medical scanner, a graduation gift from her parents before their last terraforming mission, began picking up unusual readings. Rather than the chaotic patterns typical of an accident, it showed a single life form giving off highly irregular biosignatures. Following the signal led her to a sealed maintenance chamber. Maya overrode the lock using tricks learned from years of helping her parents with emergency cases. Inside, huddled in a corner, was a figure that made her breath catch. The alien was clearly Vexarian, a species known for their crystalline exoskeletons and highly advanced technological achievements. But unlike the proud Vexarians Maya had seen in the upper levels, this one's crystals were dulled and cracked, their natural bioluminescence flickering weakly. "Stay back," the Vexarian warned, their voice carrying harmonic overtones of pain and fear. "This is none of your concern, human child." Maya took another step forward, medical scanner already analyzing the unusual readings. "You're injured, and something's interfering with your crystal matrix regeneration." She knelt slowly, keeping her movements gentle and deliberate. "I can help." The Vexarian's inner light pulsed with surprise. "You understand crystal matrix biology." "Impossible. Your species." "My species learns," Maya interrupted, already pulling supplies from her medical kit. "And right now, your matrix is failing to maintain proper resonance. The emergency crews will be here soon, but if we don't stabilize your core frequency, you could suffer permanent damage. For a long moment, the Vexarian studied her with compound eyes that shimmered like opals. Then, slowly, they extended a crystalline limb. I am called Vera, and you are either the most brilliant or the most foolish human I've ever encountered. Maya smiled as she began calibrating her equipment. I'm Maya, and in my experience, those two things aren't mutually exclusive. Her scanner began emitting precise frequencies matched to Vexarian biology, knowledge gleaned from years of studying alien medical texts. Now let's get you stabilized before anyone else finds us here. As she worked, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter would change everything. She didn't know why a Vexarian would be hiding in the lower sectors, or what had caused such severe damage to their usually indestructible form. But her parents had taught her that compassion shouldn't depend on understanding, only on the willingness to help. The alert lights continued to pulse overhead, but in that hidden chamber, human ingenuity met alien technology in a moment that would soon reshape the destiny of Helios 7 and beyond. In the weeks following her encounter with Farah, Maya's life aboard Helios 7 transformed into a careful balance of secrets. By day, she attended her classes, enduring the usual dismissive comments about human capabilities. By night, she descended to the lower sectors, where she discovered that Vera was far from the only injured refugee seeking help in the shadows. Your frequency modulation technique is unprecedented, Vera observed one evening as Maya treated another crack in their crystalline structure. The Vexarian's natural luminescence had strengthened since their first meeting, but new damage appeared with suspicious regularity. Where did you learn to manipulate quantum harmonics at this level? Maya adjusted her scanner's output, watching as the crystal matrix began to realign. I didn't, exactly. I just noticed that Vexarian biology responds to certain resonance patterns, similar to how human cells react to specific electromagnetic frequencies. After that, it was just a matter of finding the right combination. Farah's inner light flickered with what Maya had learned to recognize as amusement. Just a matter of finding the right combination. You say this about something our own medical specialists spent centuries perfecting. Their tone grew serious. You realize why they're watching the lower sectors now, don't you? Word of a human healer who understands alien biology has spread. Maya's hands stilled. Is that why you keep getting new injuries? Are they looking for you or for me? Both, perhaps. Vera's crystalline surface rippled, a sign of deep concern. The syndicate doesn't appreciate those who operate outside their control, especially ones with unique abilities. A commotion in the corridor interrupted them. Maya quickly packed her medical supplies as Farah melted into the shadows, their crystals dimming to match the darkness. Moments later, a group of Meridian security officers passed by, their serpentine bodies equipped with the latest scanning technology. Life signs detected in this sector, one officer reported, their scales shifting color to indicate active scanning. Multiple species, unauthorized gatherings. Maya held her breath, grateful for the signal-dampening modifications she'd made to her equipment. The officers paused near their hiding spot, but eventually moved on, their attention drawn by something else in the vast maze of lower-level corridors. Once they were gone, Vera emerged from the shadows. You need to be more careful, Maya Chen. The syndicate's influence grows stronger each day, even here on Helios 7. They claim to maintain order, but their real goal is control, especially over innovations they don't understand, like being able to treat multiple species without their approved methods. Maya began to understand why her parents had always operated on the edges of official medical channels. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Not just helping refugees, but finding ways to heal that don't depend on their technology. Clever girl. Vera's crystals chimed softly. The syndicate maintains power by making others dependent on their advanced technology. A human who can understand and treat alien biology without their systems. That threatens everything they've built. Before Maya could respond, Her scanner picked up an urgent signal. Multiple life signs in distress, just 2 sectors away. She recognized the erratic patterns. A group of Centaurian refugees, their unique respiratory systems struggling with the lower sector's air filtration. "Go," Vera said, noting her expression. "But remember, every life you save draws their attention. Soon, you'll have to choose between hiding and standing against them openly." Maya gathered her equipment, mind already working on how to modify her treatments for Centaurian physiology. Maybe there's a third option, if enough people see that there are alternatives to syndicate control. She paused at the door. "Will you tell me the truth someday? About who you really are and why they're hunting you?" Vara's crystalline form seemed to absorb the dim light around them. "When the time is right, you'll understand everything. For now, know that you're not just saving lives, Maya Chen. You're showing the galaxy that compassion paired with innovation is more powerful than any technology they can control." As Maya navigated the darkened corridors toward her next patients, she reflected on how much had changed. The whispered mockery of her classmates seemed trivial now, compared to the very real dangers lurking in the station's shadows. Yet with each life she helped, each new understanding of alien biology she gained, Maya felt more certain of her path. In the darkness of Helios 7's lower sectors, a revolution was taking shape, not with weapons or violence, but with healing hands and human ingenuity. And at its heart was a 16-year-old girl who dared to believe that understanding others was the first step to changing everything. The station's massive hull creaked around them, and somewhere above, the 3 suns cast their light across the void. But in the depths where Maya worked, different lights were beginning to shine. Lights of hope, of resistance, and of a future where knowledge flowed as freely as the stars themselves. The warning signs appeared gradually at first: increased security patrols, random bioscan checkpoints, and a new policy requiring all medical treatments to be registered with syndicate authorities. Maya watched from her classroom as another wave of sleek syndicate vessels docked with Helios 7, their black hulls absorbing light like cosmic predators. "The syndicate ensures our safety and prosperity," Professor Curl announced during their morning lecture, their bioluminescence unusually muted. "All students are required to report any unauthorized medical activities immediately." Maya felt the weight of stares from her classmates, but kept her expression neutral. Her reputation had shifted lately. The mockery replaced by wary observation. Even those who had once dismissed her seemed to sense that something was changing on the station. After class, a Meridian student named Sara coiled beside her desk. "They're saying impossible things about you in the lower sectors," Sara whispered, scales shifting between anxiety and curiosity. "That you can heal genetic damage without syndicate tech, that you understand biological systems no human should comprehend." "Rumors," Maya replied carefully, packing her equipment, but she noticed how Sara's scales bore the telltale patterns of chronic radiation exposure, common among those who couldn't afford proper shielding. Though sometimes impossible things turn out to be simply unexplored possibilities. That evening, Maya found her usual path to the lower sectors blocked by security fields. She was rerouting through a maintenance shaft when her scanner picked up dozens of distress signals, more than she'd ever seen. Following the readings led her to a sealed chamber where Vera waited with a group of refugees from at least 6 different species. "The syndicate is implementing a new identification protocol," Vera explained, their crystals pulsing with urgent patterns. "Any being without approved documentation will be detained and processed according to their standards." Maya surveyed the group, a family of Centaurians with failing respiratory crystals, several Meridians showing signs of severe radiation damage, and even a young Arcturian whose bioluminescence flickered erratically. "They're making their move, aren't they? This isn't about security at all." "No," Vera confirmed. "It's about control. The syndicate believes they can force compliance through medical dependency. Those who can't prove their value to the system will be removed." Maya's medical scanner hummed as she began assessing the most critical cases. "Then we'll have to prove there's another way." She turned to the gathered refugees. "I can help stabilize your conditions, teach you to maintain the treatments yourselves. But I'll need you to help others learn too." "Why would you risk this?" asked one of the Centaurians, their crystalline respiratory system grinding painfully. "You have status, education. You could simply follow their rules." Maya thought of her parents, who had vanished on a routine terraforming mission after developing treatments the Syndicate couldn't monetize. Because healing shouldn't be a privilege, because understanding each other's biology, finding ways to help without expensive technology. That's how we build real independence. As she worked through the night, Maya began teaching others her techniques. She showed the Meridians how to use their natural electromagnetic sensitivity to detect biological imbalances, taught the Arcturians to modulate their bioluminescence for healing purposes. Each species had unique abilities that, properly understood, could contribute to medical care without relying on Syndicate technology. "You're building more than a medical network," Vera observed, helping Maya calibrate a makeshift regeneration chamber built from salvaged parts. "You're creating proof that cooperation between species accomplishes more than enforced dependency ever could." "Maybe that's what they fear most," Maya replied, watching as refugees of traditionally hostile species work together to help their injured. Not just losing control of medical technology, but losing control of the barriers they've created between us. Their work was interrupted by a station-wide announcement. "Attention all residents of Helios 7. By order of the Syndicate Council, all medical practitioners must register for immediate certification. Unregistered treatment of any kind is now classified as biological terrorism." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Maya felt dozens of eyes turn toward her, some fearful, others determined. She thought of her comfortable life in the upper sectors, her dreams of official medical certification. Then she looked at the beings she'd helped, at the networks of mutual aid taking root in these shadowed corridors. "We'll need to move quickly," she said, already planning. "Establish multiple treatment centers. Train more people in basic care. If they want to call healing an act of terrorism, we'll show them what real resistance looks like." Vara's crystals resonated with approval. "And when they come for us?" Maya met the Vexarians' compound eyes, seeing in their depths a reflection of her own determination. "Then they'll learn what happens when you try to control something as fundamental as compassion. We're not just healing bodies anymore. We're healing the divisions they created to maintain power." As if in response to her words, the station's lights flickered, and new alarms began to sound. The storm was breaking, and Maya knew that everything would change. But in that moment, surrounded by beings who had learned to trust each other despite centuries of engineered mistrust, she felt more certain than ever of her path. The true revolution wouldn't come through violence or technology, but through the simple, powerful act of beings helping each other heal. And against that force, even the mighty Syndicate would discover they have finally met their match. The transformation of Helios 7's lower sectors happened faster than anyone could have predicted. What began as scattered medical clinics evolved into a complex network of mutual aid centers, each specializing in different species' needs. Maya's methods spread through whispered conversations and encrypted data packets, teaching beings who had never considered themselves healers to understand and help each other. But the Syndicate's response was equally swift and severe. Maya stood in her family's old quarters, hastily converting it into another treatment center, when the station-wide broadcast began. The holographic image of High Administrator Kex filled every available screen, their cybernetically enhanced form radiating authority. "Citizens of Helios 7, we have confirmed the presence of a dangerous biological insurgency on this station. The unauthorized practice of medicine by untrained individuals, particularly by members of less advanced species, poses an unprecedented threat to public health and order." Maya's hands tightened around her scanner as the announcement continued. "By executive order, all levels below Sector 5 will be placed under quarantine. Any being found practicing unauthorized medicine will face immediate detention and neural reconditioning. For your protection, Syndicate forces have been authorized to use all necessary measures." The screen flickered, showing images of Maya helping various refugees. Her heart sank as she recognized the footage. Someone had been watching, gathering evidence. But before she could process this revelation, a new figure appeared beside her. "They're trying to trap us," Vera said, their crystalline form vibrating with barely contained energy. "But they've made a critical error. They've shown their true nature to everyone, not just those in the lower sectors." "What do you mean?" Maya asked, but she was cut short by the sound of heavy security doors sealing throughout the station. Her scanner began picking up massive energy signatures. Syndicate warships moving into position around Helios 7. Vera's next words changed everything. "I am not simply a refugee, Maya Chen. I was the chief architect of the Syndicate's medical technologies, until I discovered what they really intended to do with my work." Maya stared at the Vexarian, pieces falling into place. "The crystal matrix regeneration technology. You developed it." "Yes. It was meant to help all species heal naturally, to promote understanding of different biological systems. But the Syndicate saw it as a way to control access to medical care, to make entire populations dependent on their approved treatments." Vera's crystals dimmed with regret. "When I objected, they tried to have me eliminated. Instead, I escaped with the core research and went into hiding." A series of explosions rocked the station. Maya's scanner showed Syndicate forces breaching the lower sector barriers. "Why tell me this now?" "Because what you've done here, teaching others to heal themselves, building networks of cooperation, it's what I originally intended. You've proven that my research can be used as it was meant to be." Vera straightened, their crystalline form beginning to glow with unprecedented intensity. "And now you need to understand what we're really fighting for." Maya's scanner suddenly lit up with new readings as Vera's crystal matrix reconfigured itself, revealing its true form. The supposedly damaged refugee transformed into a being of pure crystalline energy, their form radiating with technical sophistication far beyond anything Maya had seen. "The Syndicate didn't just suppress my research," Vera continued, their voice resonating with newfound power. "They'd been systematically preventing species from discovering their own healing abilities. Every race has unique biological gifts that could revolutionize medicine. But healing others without dependency, that threatens their entire system of control." More alarms blared as Syndicate forces moved closer to their position. Maya's network of helpers was already evacuating the most vulnerable patients through hidden passages she'd mapped out weeks ago. But she knew they couldn't hide forever. "What do we do?" she asked, mind racing through possibilities. "We can't fight their warships." Vera's crystal matrix pulsed with what might have been pride. "No, but we can show the galaxy the truth. Your work here proves that cooperation between species creates better solutions than any technology they can control. And I've been gathering evidence of their suppression of medical knowledge across dozens of worlds." The station shuddered as another security barrier fell. But Maya noticed something else. Her scanner was picking up unusual readings from throughout Helios 7. In the upper sectors, traditionally privileged species were beginning to question the Syndicate's actions. The very public attempt to crush unauthorized healing had sparked exactly what the Syndicate feared most: curiosity about alternatives to their control. "They're watching us," Maya realized. "Not just the refugees. Everyone on the station is seeing this happen." "Exactly," Vera confirmed. "The Syndicate thought they could contain this movement by force. Instead, they've revealed their true nature to every being on Helios 7. But our next steps will determine whether this becomes a real revolution or just another suppressed rebellion." Maya looked at her scanner, at the complex web of life signs it displayed. Beings of all species working together, helping each other survive. Then she made a decision that would echo across the galaxy. "We'll give them a choice," she said, already modifying her scanner's broadcast frequency. "We'll show everyone not just what the Syndicate has been hiding, but what we can achieve when we work together, starting with the truth about your research." As Syndicate forces closed in, Maya and Vera began transmitting, Not just data about suppressed medical knowledge, but proof of how different species could heal and help each other without centralized control. It was a message of hope, of cooperation, and of a future where healing was a right, not a privilege. The true consequences of their actions were about to unfold, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be quite the same. The next 48 hours on Helios 7 became known across the galaxy as the Healing Revolution. As syndicate forces pushed through the station's levels, something unprecedented began to occur. The barriers between sectors, both physical and social, started breaking down. Maya's transmission, amplified by Vera's crystal technology, reached every corner of the station. But it wasn't just information they were sharing, it was proof. Footage of species helping each other heal, documentation of suppressed medical discoveries, and Vera's explosive revelations about the syndicate's systematic oppression of medical knowledge. They're responding exactly as expected, Vera observed, their crystalline form now serving as a powerful broadcast relay. Force is the only solution they understand. Maya watched her scanner as syndicate troops moved through the lower sectors, but what she saw gave her hope. For every group of soldiers advancing, there were dozens of beings, including many from the privileged upper sectors, moving to protect the medical networks she'd helped establish. "Look," she said, pointing to new readings. "The Meridian medical students from my class. They're teaching others how to use their natural electromagnetic sensitivity for diagnostic scanning. And there, the Arcturian professors are combining their bioluminescent abilities with your crystal technology." The station shuddered as syndicate warships tightened their blockade. But their show of force had an unintended effect. The sight of battleships surrounding a medical station became a powerful symbol, transmitted by countless witnesses to worlds beyond. Then came the first major turning point. A group of syndicate security forces, led by a young Vexarian commander, reached one of Maya's treatment centers. Instead of shutting it down, they witnessed a human teenager using adapted crystal matrix technology to heal a critically injured Centaurian child. This is what they wanted to prevent, Maya told the commander, continuing her work even as weapons remained pointed at her. Not just unauthorized medicine, but the knowledge that we can help each other without their control. That biology isn't a barrier between species. It's a bridge. The commander ordered his weapons lowered, and within hours, the scene repeated across the station. More and more syndicate forces, many of them seeing the reality of cooperative healing for the first time, began questioning their orders. But the High Council wouldn't surrender control easily. As reports of defections spread, they initiated their fail-safe protocol, an engineered virus designed to prove the danger of unauthorized medicine. Within minutes, beings throughout Helios 7 began showing symptoms of genetic degradation. This is their endgame. Vera's crystals pulsed with urgent patterns. They would rather destroy the station than lose control of medical technology. Maya's scanner analyzed the virus's structure. Look at the pattern. It's not random. They designed it to affect different species in specifically debilitating ways. But that means that understanding multiple species biology is the key to stopping it. Vera finished. Exactly what you've been practicing all along. Maya sent out an emergency broadcast to her network. Within minutes, healers of different species began sharing observations, combining their understanding of various biological systems. The Meridian's electromagnetic sensitivity detected the virus's adaptation patterns. Arcturian bioluminescence revealed its weak points. Vexarian crystal technology, guided by Maya's intuitive grasp of cross-species biology, provided the means to generate a counteragent. They never understood, Maya said as she watched beings of all species working together, applying the very knowledge the syndicate had tried to suppress. Real healing isn't about controlling access to treatment. It's about understanding each other deeply enough to help. The cure spread through the station as rapidly as the virus had, transmitted through the same networks of cooperation Maya had helped build. But something else spread with it, a new way of thinking about healing, about cooperation, about the artificial barriers between species. High Administrator Kex made one final broadcast, demanding the station's surrender. The response came not from Maya or Vera, but from thousands of voices throughout Helios 7, beings of all species choosing to stand together. The Syndicate warships opened fire, but they found themselves confronted by an unexpected sight. Ships from dozens of worlds, summoned by witnesses to the healing revolution, emerged from hyperspace around the station. Many were led by beings who had seen their own worlds suffer under Syndicate medical control. In the end, it wasn't weapons that defeated the Syndicate, but the very thing they had tried to prevent. Knowledge shared freely, beings helping each other heal, artificial barriers crumbling in the face of genuine cooperation. Months later, Maya stood with Vera in a newly transformed Helios 7. The station had become the first interspecies medical academy, where beings from across the galaxy came to learn and share healing knowledge freely. "You knew this would happen," Maya said to Vera as they watched students of different species learning together. "Not just the fall of the Syndicate, but this species realizing we're stronger when we share our knowledge." Vera's crystals chimed softly. "I knew it was possible, but it took a human teenager, seeing past artificial barriers of species and status, to prove it to the galaxy. Sometimes, the greatest revolutions start with the simplest acts of compassion." Maya smiled, checking her scanner out of habit. But now, instead of showing distress signals from hidden refugees, it displayed the life signs of beings learning to understand and help each other. The readings told a story not of separation, but of connection. Proof that in the end, the ability to heal others was the most revolutionary force in the universe. And it had all started with a human girl who dared to believe that understanding different species wasn't just possible, it was essential to everyone's survival. In that belief, she had helped spark a revolution that would continue to reshape the galaxy for generations to come.